Chapter 1. The Scarcity Trap. Imagine walking through life believing that every opportunity is your last. Every job interview feels like your only chance. Every business deal feels like your final shot at success. Every rejection feels like the end of your future. And every relationship feels like someone you can never afford to lose. How would you behave? You would become anxious. You would overthink every decision. You would tolerate disrespect because you're afraid of losing what you have. You would chase instead of attract. You would settle instead of grow. And without realizing it, fear would begin making your decisions for you. This is called a scarcity mindset. A scarcity mindset convinces you that there is never enough. Not enough opportunities. Not enough success. Not enough money. Not enough love. Not enough good people. It whispers lies into your mind. If this doesn't work out, you'll never find another chance. If this person leaves, no one else will ever love you. If you fail today, your future is over. Those thoughts feel real, but they are not reality. They are fear disguised as truth. Now imagine someone else facing the exact same situation. They lose a job. Instead of believing their career is over, they think, another opportunity will come if I continue improving. A business proposal is rejected. Instead of giving up, they ask, what can I learn from this? A relationship ends. Instead of believing they'll never love again, they focus on healing, growing, and becoming a better version of themselves. The difference isn't luck. The difference is mindset. People with an abundance mindset don't believe life is easy. They simply believe that one setback doesn't define the rest of their lives. They understand something powerful. Opportunities don't disappear. They change. Sometimes a closed door isn't punishment. Sometimes it's direction. Think about a tree in the middle of a forest. Every year, it loses thousands of leaves. Yet it never panics. It never clings to the leaves that fall. Why? Because it understands something many people forget. New seasons always come. New leaves always grow. Your life works the same way. Sometimes people leave. Sometimes opportunities disappear. Sometimes plans fail. But life has never depended on one season. New people enter your life. New opportunities appear. New ideas emerge. The person trapped in scarcity spends all their energy trying to hold on to what is already slipping away. The person living with abundance spends their energy becoming someone who can create new opportunities. That difference changes everything. Many people confuse attachment with love. They confuse desperation with commitment. They confuse fear with loyalty. Imagine holding a handful of sand. The tighter you squeeze, the faster the sand escapes through your fingers. But when your hand remains open, the sand stays. Life often behaves the same way. The more desperate you become to control every outcome, the more anxious you become. The more anxious you become, the worse your decisions become. Abundance is not about believing you'll always get what you want. It's about believing you'll be okay even if you don't. That belief creates confidence, and confidence changes how you walk, how you speak, how you make decisions, how you respond to rejection. People who believe another opportunity will come don't beg for acceptance. They don't sacrifice their values out of fear. They don't remain in unhealthy situations simply because they're afraid of being alone. Instead, they invest in themselves. They improve their skills. They strengthen their character. They build discipline because they understand one simple truth. The greatest opportunity you'll ever have is becoming someone who creates opportunities. Think about successful entrepreneurs. Most of them experienced rejection, failed businesses, financial losses. Yet they kept going. Why? Because they didn't believe success existed in only one place. They believed they could build another path. That is abundance. The same principle applies to relationships. A healthy relationship is built on mutual respect, trust, and shared values. It should never be sustained by fear of being alone. When someone believes their happiness depends entirely on one person, they often ignore warning signs, abandon their own needs, and accept treatment they know is unhealthy. An abundance mindset doesn't mean people are replaceable. It means your identity and self-worth are not dependent on any single relationship. It allows you to love deeply without losing yourself. It allows you to value others while also valuing yourself. And perhaps the most powerful shift of all is this. Stop asking, what if I lose this? Start asking, what kind of person am I becoming? Because opportunities come and go. Markets rise and fall. People enter and leave our lives. But the person you become stays with you. If you build discipline, no one can take it from you. If you develop confidence, no rejection can erase it. If you gain wisdom, no setback can steal it. Scarcity focuses on what might be lost. Abundance focuses on what can still be built. The moment you stop living from fear, you begin living from possibility. And possibility is where growth begins. Remember this. There are more opportunities than you can imagine. There are more lessons than you can learn in a lifetime. There are more meaningful relationships than fear would have you believe. But before you can recognize abundance in the world, you must first create abundance in your mind. Because the life you build tomorrow will always begin with the thoughts you choose to believe today. Chapter 2. The Psychology of Abundance. There is a simple truth that most people overlook. The way you think shapes the way you behave. And the way you behave shapes the life you create. This is why two people can face the exact same situation and walk away with completely different outcomes. Imagine two people walking into the same room for a job interview. Both have similar qualifications. Both prepared for the same amount of time. But one enters the room believing, this is my only chance. The other believes, I'm going to give my best. If this isn't the right opportunity, another one will come. Their resumes may look similar, but their mindset is completely different. The first person is driven by fear. The second is driven by confidence. Fear changes your posture. It changes your voice. It changes your body language. It makes you hesitate. It makes you seek approval. It makes you second-guess every decision. Confidence does the opposite. Confidence allows you to stay present, to think clearly, to communicate honestly, to make decisions without panic. This is one of the greatest advantages of an abundance mindset. It doesn't remove uncertainty. It removes desperation. Desperation has a way of showing itself, even when you try to hide it. People notice it in conversations, in negotiations, in interviews, in relationships. When someone believes they must force a particular outcome, they often become tense, overly eager, or willing to compromise their own values. Ironically, those behaviors can make success less likely. Now consider someone with an abundance mindset. They prepare thoroughly. They care about the outcome, but they don't believe their future depends on a single moment. That calmness allows them to perform at their best. This principle applies far beyond careers. It applies to friendships, business, dating, and everyday life. Take relationships, for example. Many people enter relationships hoping the other person will complete them. They expect one person to fill every emotional gap, to provide constant reassurance, to become the source of their happiness. That creates enormous pressure. Healthy relationships grow when two whole people choose to build a life together, not when one person depends entirely on the other for their sense of worth. An abundance mindset says, I value this relationship deeply, but I also value myself. It allows you to love without losing your identity. It allows you to set healthy boundaries. It allows you to walk away from situations that consistently undermine your well-being. Not because you don't care, but because you understand that self-respect is the foundation of every healthy relationship. The same principle applies to opportunities. Some people spend years waiting for one specific opportunity. One promotion, one investor, one client, one breakthrough. When it doesn't happen, they convince themselves they've failed. But abundance-minded people think differently. They understand that opportunities are often created, not simply found. If one door closes, they build another. If one idea fails, they improve it or try another. They don't confuse a setback with the end of the journey. History is filled with people who faced rejection before finding success. Inventors whose first ideas failed. authors whose manuscripts were rejected, entrepreneurs whose first businesses collapsed. Their success did not come because they avoided failure. It came because they refused to believe failure was final. That's what abundance does. It shifts your attention from what you've lost to what you can still build. There's another psychological advantage to abundance. It reduces comparison. Comparison is fueled by scarcity. When you believe success is limited, someone else's achievement feels like your loss. You see another person's promotion and think, that should have been me. You see someone else's happy relationship and think, I'll never have that. You see another person's business growing and think, there won't be enough customers left for mine. But abundance changes your perspective. It reminds you that another person's success does not reduce your potential. Someone else's opportunity is not evidence that yours has disappeared. The world is not a single pie with only a few slices. New ideas emerge. New businesses are created. New careers begin. New friendships develop. New relationships grow. Life continues to create possibilities for those who remain open to them. Abundance also transforms how you handle rejection. Rejection no longer becomes a verdict on your worth. It becomes information. Sometimes it reveals that you need more preparation. Sometimes it shows that the opportunity wasn't the right fit. Sometimes it simply reflects timing. Whatever the reason, rejection becomes a lesson rather than a life sentence. Think about a skilled farmer. A farmer doesn't panic because one seed fails to grow. The farmer understands that growth requires patience, care, and repeated effort. If one seed doesn't take root, another is planted. The harvest depends on consistency, not perfection. Your goals deserve the same mindset. Plant many seeds. Develop many skills. Build many relationships. Explore many opportunities. Never place your entire future on a single outcome. Finally, remember this. Abundance is not pretending that life is always fair. It is not ignoring disappointment. It is not denying pain. It is choosing to believe that today's setback does not determine tomorrow's possibilities. It is trusting that your value is greater than any single rejection. It is refusing to let fear make your decisions. Because the person who believes there is always another opportunity lives differently. They take calculated risks. They speak with confidence. They treat people with respect, not out of desperation, but from genuine character. They invest in themselves every day. And over time, they begin to notice something remarkable. The more they focus on becoming valuable, the more valuable opportunities seem to appear. Not because the world suddenly changed, but because they did. An abundance mindset does not magically create success. It creates the kind of person who is prepared when success arrives. And that is one of the greatest advantages anyone can develop. Chapter 3. Abundance in Relationships. Love without losing yourself. One of the greatest mistakes people make in relationships is believing that one person is responsible for their happiness. They meet someone they admire. They feel a connection. And before they realize it, their entire emotional world begins revolving around that one person. Their mood depends on a text message. Their confidence depends on attention. Their peace depends on whether the relationship is going well. Without realizing it, they've handed over the keys to their emotional well-being. This is not love. It is emotional dependency. And dependency often grows from a scarcity mindset. Scarcity whispers, if this relationship ends, you'll never find someone like this again. If they leave, your life will never be the same. You must do whatever it takes to keep them. Those thoughts create fear, and fear changes behavior. People begin overthinking every conversation. They stop expressing their true opinions because they fear conflict. They ignore disrespect because they fear being alone. They sacrifice their values just to keep someone from walking away. But here's the truth. No healthy relationship can thrive where fear is the foundation. Real love grows in freedom, not in desperation. Think about a bird. If you hold it gently, it may choose to stay. But if you squeeze it tightly because you're afraid it will fly away, you become the reason it leaves. Relationships often work the same way. The tighter you try to control another person, the more pressure you create. Pressure weakens trust. Trust is what allows love to grow. This is where an abundance mindset changes everything. An abundance mindset doesn't mean you stop caring about people. It doesn't mean you become cold or emotionally distant. It means you understand that your worth does not disappear if a relationship ends. You can love someone deeply without making them your entire identity. You can invest in a relationship without abandoning your purpose. You can care for another person while still respecting yourself. One of the strongest people in any relationship is often the one who knows how to walk away from consistent disrespect, not because walking away is easy, but because self-respect matters. Many people confuse self-respect with ego. They're not the same. Ego says, "I'm better than everyone." Self-respect says, "I will not accept treatment that destroys my peace." There's a world of difference. Healthy relationships require compromise. But compromise should never require you to lose yourself. Imagine building a house. The foundation must be strong before anything else can stand. If the foundation is weak, every storm becomes a threat. Self-worth is the foundation of every healthy relationship. Without it, jealousy grows, insecurity grows, fear grows. With it, trust becomes easier, communication becomes healthier, conflict becomes easier to resolve. Another important lesson is this: stop chasing people who have already decided they don't value you. Many people spend years trying to convince someone to love them, to appreciate them, to choose them. But love cannot be negotiated. Respect cannot be forced. Attention cannot be begged for. You deserve relationships where effort is mutual, where respect goes both ways, where communication is honest, where growth happens together. That doesn't mean every relationship will last forever. Some people enter your life for a season. Some teach valuable lessons. Some help you grow. And some reveal parts of yourself that still need healing. An abundance mindset allows you to appreciate those experiences without becoming trapped by them, because every ending creates space for a new beginning. There's another powerful shift that abundance creates. You stop seeking validation. Validation is addictive. Many people constantly ask themselves, do they like me? What are they thinking about me? Am I enough? Those questions quietly place your confidence in someone else's hands. Instead, ask a different question. Am I living according to my values? Am I becoming someone I'm proud of? When your confidence comes from your character instead of someone else's approval, everything changes. Ironically, this often makes your relationship stronger, because confidence is peaceful. It doesn't cling. It doesn't manipulate. It doesn't constantly seek reassurance. It trusts. It communicates honestly. It respects boundaries. It gives space. And it receives space. People are naturally drawn toward those who have built a fulfilling life of their own, not because they're pretending not to care, but because they genuinely have purpose beyond the relationship. They continue learning, growing, building, serving, improving themselves. The relationship becomes an important part of their life, not the entire meaning of it. And perhaps that's one of the greatest lessons abundance can teach you. Become someone who brings value into a relationship, instead of looking for someone else to complete you. Develop your confidence. Protect your peace. Strengthen your discipline. Build your purpose. Learn to enjoy your own company. Because when you become emotionally whole, you stop searching for someone to rescue you. Instead, you become someone capable of building healthy, meaningful, and lasting relationships. Remember this: love is not scarce. Good people are not extinct. Healthy relationships still exist, but they begin with one person. The person you become. The more you grow, the more capable you become of recognizing relationships built on mutual respect instead of fear. And that is the true power of an abundance mindset in love. It allows you to give your heart without losing yourself. Chapter 4. Stop chasing opportunities, become the opportunity. Most people spend their lives chasing opportunities. They chase money. They chase promotions. They chase business deals. They chase clients. They chase success. And sometimes They even chase people. But very few people ask themselves a much more important question. Am I becoming the kind of person opportunities are looking for? Think about that. Imagine two businesses looking to hire a leader. One applicant spends all their time complaining that there are no good jobs. The other spends that same time learning new skills, improving communication, reading books, building discipline, developing confidence, growing their network. When the opportunity finally appears, who do you think will be ready? Opportunity doesn't just reward desire, it rewards preparation. This is where an abundance mindset becomes practical. Instead of obsessing over what you don't have, you begin investing in what you can control. You cannot control the economy. You cannot control the decisions of other people. You cannot control when luck appears. But you can control your habits, your attitude, your discipline, your willingness to learn. Every day you improve yourself. You become more valuable, and valuable people naturally create more opportunities. Imagine two farmers. One spends every day complaining that it hasn't rained. The other spends that same time preparing the soil, repairing the fences, removing weeds, sharpening tools. When the rain finally comes, only one farm is ready. Life works exactly the same way. Many people pray for opportunities they are not yet prepared to handle. They want success without developing discipline. They want wealth without learning financial responsibility. They want leadership without learning how to lead themselves. Preparation is the language that opportunity understands. Another mistake people make is placing all their hope on one single path. If I don't get this job, my life is over. If this business fails, I'll never succeed. If this investment doesn't work, I've lost everything. This way of thinking creates enormous pressure, and pressure often causes poor decisions. Abundance reminds you that there is rarely only one path forward. Sometimes life closes one door because another one requires your attention. History is filled with people whose greatest success came after their original plans failed. An unexpected setback forced them to discover talents they never knew they had. A rejection redirected them towards something even greater. At the time, it felt like failure. Years later, it became one of the best things that ever happened to them. This doesn't mean every disappointment has an obvious purpose. It means you don't know the full story while you're living through the difficult chapter. Keep moving. Keep learning. Keep preparing. There is another powerful principle. Never build your identity around one opportunity. If your entire identity depends on one business, one job, one investment, or one title, then losing it may feel like losing yourself. But when your identity is rooted in your values, your character, your discipline, your ability to learn, then no single setback can define you. You remain adaptable. Adaptability is one of the greatest advantages in an ever-changing world. Technology changes, industries change, markets change, skills become outdated. The people who continue succeeding are not always the smartest. Often, they are simply the most adaptable. They never stop learning. They never stop improving. They never assume they've arrived. Instead of asking, what opportunity should I chase next? What skills should I develop next? Skills create opportunities. Knowledge creates opportunities. Discipline creates opportunities. Character creates opportunities. The world has always rewarded people who solve problems. If you become someone who consistently solves problems, people will seek you out. Businesses will value you. Communities will respect you. Success stops feeling like something you chase and starts becoming something you attract. That doesn't mean life becomes easy. You'll still experience rejection. You'll still hear no. You'll still encounter delays. But an abundance mindset changes how you interpret those moments. Rejection becomes feedback. Delay becomes preparation. Failure becomes education. Instead of saying, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin asking, "What is this teaching me?" That one question changes everything, because every challenge now contains a lesson, and every lesson makes you stronger. Never forget this. The most valuable investment you'll ever make is the investment you make in yourself. Money can disappear. Businesses can fail. Markets can crash. Titles can be taken away. But the knowledge you gain, the discipline you build, the confidence you develop, and the character you strengthen remain with you. Those qualities become the foundation upon which every future opportunity is built. So stop waiting for life to hand you the perfect opportunity. Become so prepared, so disciplined, so capable, and so valuable that when opportunity finally arrives, it recognizes you immediately. Because opportunities come and go, but a person committed to growth will always be capable of creating another one. That is the true power of an abundance mindset. You don't simply wait for doors to open. Sometimes, you become the person who builds new doors for yourself and for others. Chapter 5. How to Build an Abundance Mindset. By now, you understand what an abundance mindset is. You understand how it changes relationships, how it changes opportunities, and how it changes the way you see yourself. But understanding something and living it are two very different things. A person doesn't wake up one morning with an abundance mindset. It is built one thought, one decision, one habit, one day at a time. So how do you build it? It starts with changing the conversations you have with yourself. Every day, your mind is speaking. Sometimes you notice it. Most of the time, you don't. When something goes wrong, what is your first thought? I always fail. I'll never make it. Life is unfair. There are no opportunities left. Those thoughts don't simply disappear. They become beliefs. And beliefs become behavior. If you constantly tell yourself that opportunities are scarce, you'll stop looking for them. If you believe success belongs only to other people, you'll unconsciously hold yourself back. This is why the first habit is to challenge every limiting belief. Whenever your mind says, I can't, ask yourself, is that a fact or just a fear? Most of the time, it's fear, not fact. The second habit is gratitude. Gratitude is one of the fastest ways to move your mind from scarcity to abundance. Scarcity focuses on what's missing. Abundance notices what's already present. Every morning, before checking your phone, before opening social media, take 1 minute to think of 3 things you're grateful for. They don't have to be extraordinary. Your health, your family, the opportunity to learn, the ability to start again. Gratitude doesn't ignore problems. It simply refuses to let problems become the only thing you see. Another powerful habit is to stop comparing your beginning to someone else's middle. Comparison is one of the greatest enemies of abundance. You scroll through social media. You see someone buying a new house, someone else starting a successful business, someone traveling the world, someone celebrating an achievement. Suddenly, your own progress feels small. But remember, you're comparing your private struggles to someone else's public highlights. You don't know the sacrifices they made. You don't know the failures they experienced. You don't know the years of work that happened before the success you now see. Run your own race. Your timeline doesn't need to look like anyone else's. The fourth habit is continuous learning. People with an abundance mindset never believe they've learned enough. They read. They ask questions. They develop new skills. They remain curious. Every book you read, every skill you develop, every lesson you learn increases your ability to recognize opportunities that other people overlook. Knowledge expands your vision. The more you know, the more possibilities you begin to see. The fifth habit is surrounding yourself with growth-minded people. The people around you influence the way you think. Spend enough time around people who constantly complain, and complaining begins to feel normal. Spend enough time around people who blame everyone else for their problems, and personal responsibility starts to disappear. But surround yourself with people who believe in growth, who take responsibility, who keep learning, who encourage others, and you'll begin thinking differently. Mindsets spread. Choose your environment wisely. Another essential habit is taking action despite uncertainty. Many people wait until they feel completely confident before making a move. But confidence rarely comes before action. It usually comes after. The entrepreneur doesn't start with certainty. The athlete doesn't compete without fear. The speaker doesn't begin without nervousness. They act anyway. Action creates experience. Experience creates confidence. Confidence creates greater opportunities. Waiting for perfect conditions often means waiting forever. There will never be a perfect time. Start where you are. Use what you have. Learn along the way. Another lesson abundance teaches is generosity. This surprises many people. They assume abundance is about getting more. In reality, it also involves giving more. Share knowledge. Encourage others. Celebrate other people's success. Help someone without expecting anything in return. Why? Because generosity trains your mind to believe there is enough. Enough success. Enough opportunity. Enough value to share. People with a scarcity mindset struggle to celebrate others. Someone else's victory feels like their defeat. But people with an abundance mindset understand something powerful. The success of another person doesn't reduce your potential. It reminds you that success is possible. Finally, protect your mind. Your mind is like a garden. Whatever you plant will grow. Feed it with wisdom, discipline, books, constructive conversations, positive influences. But be careful what you allow into it. Constant negativity, fear-driven news, endless comparison, and destructive criticism can quietly reshape the way you see the world. Guard your thoughts, because your thoughts become beliefs. Your beliefs become actions. Your actions become habits, and your habits become your future. Always remember this. An abundance mindset isn't pretending life is perfect. It's believing that no matter what happens, you can continue growing. You can continue learning. You can continue creating value. You can continue becoming stronger. The world may not always give you another chance immediately, but if you continue building yourself, you'll be ready when it does. Because opportunities don't change lives. Prepared people do. And preparation begins inside your mind. Chapter 6. Become the prize, not the pursuer. If you've listened this far, you've probably realized something. An abundance mindset isn't really about money. It isn't only about relationships. It isn't even only about opportunities. At its core, an abundance mindset is about the relationship you have with yourself. Because the way you see yourself determines the way you see the world. If you believe you're not enough, nothing will ever feel enough. No amount of money will satisfy you. No relationship will remove your insecurity. No achievement will permanently silence your doubts. You'll keep searching, chasing, begging life to give you something that can only be built from within. But the moment you begin believing that your value isn't determined by one rejection, one failure, one relationship, or one opportunity, everything changes. You stop chasing validation. You start chasing growth. You stop asking, how do I make people choose me? And you begin asking, how do I become someone I'm proud of? That question has the power to transform your life. Because the world responds differently to people who have built themselves. Think about the people you admire. They may not all be wealthy. They may not all be famous. But they have something that stands out. They carry themselves with quiet confidence. They don't seem desperate for approval. They don't panic when life doesn't go according to plan. They don't collapse after rejection. Why? Because their confidence isn't borrowed from circumstances. It's built on character. Character is one of the few things that cannot be taken from you. Money can disappear. Businesses can fail. Relationships can end. Titles can change. But discipline, integrity, resilience, wisdom, and self-respect remain. Those qualities become your true wealth. This is why your greatest investment will never be a stock, a business, or even a degree. Your greatest investment will always be yourself. Read the books. Develop the skills. Improve your communication. Take care of your health. Strengthen your mind. Protect your peace. Build your confidence. Because wherever you go, you take yourself with you. Another important lesson is this. Stop waiting for life to become perfect before you begin living. Many people postpone happiness. I'll be happy when I get promoted. I'll be happy when I make more money. I'll be happy when I find the right relationship. Those goals are worth pursuing, but happiness cannot always remain on the other side of the next achievement. If it does, you'll spend your entire life chasing a destination that keeps moving. An abundance mindset allows you to appreciate the journey while still striving for more. It teaches contentment without complacency. You can be grateful for today while still working for a better tomorrow. Those two ideas do not compete. They strengthen each other. Remember something else. You cannot control everything that happens to you. You cannot control who rejects you, who misunderstands you, who leaves, who criticizes you. But you can always control your response. That response becomes your power. Every setback asks the same question. Will this make you bitter? Or better? Scarcity chooses bitterness. Abundance chooses growth. Scarcity blames. Abundance learns. Scarcity complains. Abundance adapts. Scarcity waits for permission. Abundance creates possibilities. Every single day, life presents that choice. Not once, but repeatedly and over time. Those choices shape your future. So stop chasing people who don't value you. Stop forcing doors that refuse to open. Stop living as though this one moment will determine the rest of your life. Trust yourself enough to believe that if one opportunity disappears, you can create another. Trust yourself enough to believe that if one relationship ends, your life doesn't end with it. Trust yourself enough to believe that every lesson, every challenge, every disappointment can become part of your growth. Because here's the truth. The goal isn't to have more opportunities than everyone else. The goal is to become someone who recognizes opportunities wherever they appear. The goal isn't to impress everyone you meet. The goal is to become someone whose character speaks louder than their words. The goal isn't to avoid failure. The goal is to become someone who refuses to stay down after falling. That is abundance. It is not measured by what you own. It is measured by who you become. And perhaps the greatest realization of all is this. You were never meant to spend your life chasing everything. You were meant to spend your life becoming someone worth following. Someone who brings value. Someone who solves problems. Someone who inspires hope. Someone who leaves every place better than they found it. When you become that person, you'll notice something remarkable. The opportunities you once chased begin to find you, not because life suddenly became easier, but because you've become ready. Ready to recognize them, ready to seize them, ready to create even more. So as you leave this message today, carry these words with you. Never allow fear to convince you that there is only one path. Never allow rejection to convince you that you have no future. Never allow scarcity to convince you that your worth depends on one outcome. Instead, choose growth. Choose discipline. Choose courage. Choose preparation. Choose abundance. Because life will always reward those who continue becoming better than they were yesterday. And always remember, the greatest opportunity you will ever discover is the person you are capable of becoming. Thank you for watching Growth Mindset Path. If this message challenged the way you think, subscribe and join us as we continue to grow stronger in mindset, character, and purpose. Until next time, keep growing, keep believing, keep becoming.